Welcome, my dear friend. So, I guess I'm not the only one who keeps saying, I'll start tomorrow. You and I, we're probably the same. First, we say, I'll start tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, and we say, I'll start on Monday. Monday comes, and we say, you know what? I'll start on the first day of next month. Then next month arrives. And somehow, we find another excuse. Before we even realize it, weeks turn into months. Months turn into years. But we still haven't started. Tell me honestly. Am I talking about you too? Or do you have a completely different excuse? Let me know in the comments. I really want to know. Because if we're both making the same mistake, maybe we can fix it together. You know what's funny? Nobody plans to waste their life. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, today, I'm going to waste another day. Nobody. But somehow, it still happens. Not because we're bad people. Not because we're lazy. But because we believe one dangerous lie. We still have time. That sentence sounds harmless. But it has stolen more dreams than failure ever has. Let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I wanted to improve my life. I wanted to learn new skills. I wanted to become healthier. I wanted to build something that would make my family proud. Every night, I made a perfect plan. Tomorrow I'll wake up early. Tomorrow I'll stop wasting time. Tomorrow I'll work harder. Tomorrow I'll finally change. Every single night, I believed myself. And every single morning, I broke that promise. Not because I wanted to, but because my brain always found a better excuse. I'm tired. I'll have more energy tomorrow. This isn't the right time. I'll start after this weekend. I'll start next month. Does this sound familiar? Be honest. Have you ever made a promise to yourself, and then broken it the very next day? If yes, just type yes in the comments. Trust me. You're not alone. For a long time, I thought motivation was my problem. I kept watching motivational videos, listening to powerful speeches, reading inspiring quotes. For a few hours, I felt unstoppable. I felt like I could change my entire life. Then the next morning, everything disappeared. The motivation was gone. The excitement was gone. And I was back to saying, I'll start tomorrow. One day, something happened that completely changed the way I think. I looked at an old notebook. Inside that notebook, I found goals I had written almost 3 years earlier. Learn English. Wake up at 6 a.m. Exercise every day. Read one book every month. Start a business. Do you know what shocked me? The goals were exactly the same. Nothing had changed. Only the date. 3 years had passed. But I was still writing the same dreams. That moment hurt. Not because I had failed, but because I realized time had been moving, even when I wasn't. And that's the scary part about life. Time never waits. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't care if you're scared. It doesn't care if you're motivated. It just keeps moving. Every sunrise is one day less. Every birthday is 1 year gone. And one day, without warning, you wake up and ask yourself, where did all the time go? I don't want that day to come for you. And honestly, I don't want that day to come for me either. That's why we're here today. Not to become perfect. Not to change our whole life overnight. Just to become a little better than yesterday. Because that's how real change happens. Not in one giant moment, but in small decisions. Repeated every single day. Now let me ask you another question. Imagine we meet exactly 1 year from today. You and I sit down together. What would you like to tell me? Would you say, "I'm still waiting"? Or would you smile and say, "I finally started"? Close your eyes for a second and imagine that moment. How would it feel? Think about it. Because the person you'll become 1 year from now depends on the decision you make today. Not tomorrow. Today. Have you ever noticed something strange? When someone asks us, "Why haven't you started yet?" we always have an answer. "I'm too busy. I'm waiting for the right time. I need more money. I need more motivation. I need a better plan." At first, those reasons sound completely valid. And sometimes, they really are. But let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who had the perfect life before they started? Probably not. The people we admire today, they didn't start because life became easy. They started while life was still difficult. Think about learning how to ride a bicycle. Nobody waits until they become an expert. You get on the bike. You lose your balance. You fall. You get back up. And every time you fall, you learn something new. Life works exactly the same way. You don't become confident and then take action. You take action. And confidence slowly follows. That's something I wish someone had told me years ago. I spent so much time trying to feel ready that I forgot the only thing that actually makes you ready. Starting. Here's another question for you. Have you ever said, "I'll start when I have more time"? Now think carefully. Did more time ever magically appear? Or did life simply become busier? Because that's exactly what happened to me. When I was in school, I thought life would be easier after graduation. After graduation, I thought life would be easier once I found work. Then I thought, once I earned more money, I'd finally have time. But every new chapter of life came with new responsibilities. That's when I realized something. If you don't make time for your dreams today, you'll probably never find time tomorrow. Because tomorrow always brings something new. Another bill. Another responsibility. Another distraction. Another excuse. Life never stops giving us reasons to wait. That's why successful people don't wait for free time. They create it. Even if it's just 10 minutes. Even if it's just one page. Even if it's just one small step. Now let me tell you about a man I once read about. Every single morning, before going to work, he spent just 15 minutes learning a new skill. 15 minutes. That's all. Most people laughed at him. What can you learn in 15 minutes? They said. He ignored them. 1 year later, those 15 minutes had become more than 90 hours of focused learning. 90 hours. From just 15 minutes a day. That's the power of consistency. Small actions don't look powerful today. They become powerful because they never stop. Tell me honestly. What's stopping you right now? Not tomorrow. Not next week. Right now. Is it fear? Is it laziness? Is it overthinking? Or is it simply the habit of saying, "I'll do it later"? Write one word in the comments. Don't worry about what other people think. Your comment might help someone realize they're not fighting this battle alone. And sometimes, knowing you're not alone is exactly what gives you the courage to begin. Let me tell you another story. There were two friends. Both of them were 20 years old. Both had the same dream. They wanted a better life. One of them kept saying, "I'll start when everything is perfect." The other one said, I'll start with whatever I have. The first friend spent months watching videos, reading books, making plans, buying notebooks, writing goals. Everything looked productive. But nothing actually changed. The second friend didn't know everything. He didn't have the best plan. He wasn't even confident. But every single day, he did one small thing. Just one. Some days he read one page. Some days he practiced English for 10 minutes. Some days he exercised for 5 minutes. It didn't seem like much. In fact, if you looked at both friends after 1 month, you probably wouldn't notice any difference. But after 1 year, everything had changed. One had experience. The other had excuses. One had confidence. The other had regret. And do you know why? Because action teaches things that planning never can. That's why I always say, don't confuse preparation with progress. Watching videos about success isn't success. Reading books about fitness isn't fitness. Learning business ideas isn't building a business. Knowledge is important. But knowledge without action changes nothing. Think about this. Imagine reading 100 books about swimming. Will that help you swim? Of course not. At some point, you have to jump into the water. Yes. You'll probably be scared. Yes. You'll probably make mistakes. But that's how learning works. Mistakes are not signs that you're failing. They're signs that you're moving. Now let me ask you something. What's one mistake you've been avoiding because you're afraid of failing? Think about it. Maybe you've been afraid to speak English because someone might laugh. Maybe you've been afraid to start a business because it might fail. Maybe you've been afraid to go to the gym because people might judge you. But here's something I realized. People are thinking about you far less than you think. Most people are too busy worrying about their own lives. The biggest judge lives inside your own mind. And every day you listen to that voice, your dream gets pushed one more day into the future. So today, I want you to try something different. Instead of asking, what if I fail? Ask yourself, what if this actually works? What if one small step today changes everything? What if this is the day your future begins? You don't know. Neither do I. But there's only one way to find out. Start. Because the greatest opportunities in life are usually hiding behind the action we keep avoiding. And trust me, the hardest step isn't the second. Or the 10th. It's always the very first one. Can I tell you something that most people never realize? Your life is not shaped by the biggest decisions. It's shaped by the smallest ones. Think about it. Nobody becomes unhealthy in one day. Nobody becomes successful in one day. It happens little by little. One extra hour of scrolling. One more excuse. One more day of waiting. At first, nothing seems to change. But after months, those tiny choices become your life. Now imagine the opposite. What if you read just 5 pages every day? That's over 1,800 pages in 1 year. That's around 6 or 7 books. What if you learn just 5 new English words every day? By the end of the year, you'd know more than 1,800 new words. Imagine how much your confidence would grow. What if you saved just $5 every day? What if you walked for 20 minutes every day? Small actions. Huge results. That's why I stopped asking myself, how can I change my whole life? Instead, I started asking, what's one small thing I can do today? That one question changed everything. Because suddenly, Life didn't feel overwhelming anymore. I wasn't trying to climb the whole mountain. I was simply taking the next step. And here's something interesting. Your brain loves small wins. Every time you finish a small task, your brain says, "Good job. Let's do another one." That's how momentum is created. Not by waiting. By moving. Even slowly. Let me ask you something. Have you ever cleaned your room? At first, it looked like too much work. You didn't even want to begin. But once you picked up the first shirt, then the second, then made your bed, suddenly, you wanted to finish the whole room. Why? Because starting changed your mindset. The same thing happens with every goal. The first 5 minutes are usually harder than the next 50. So don't focus on finishing. Focus on beginning. Because once you're moving, stopping becomes much harder. Now I want you to do a little exercise with me. Imagine two versions of yourself. The first version keeps saying, "I'll start tomorrow." The second version says, "Let me ask you a question. What if I told you that your future is watching you right now? Not the future 5 years from now. Not 10 years from now. I'm talking about the version of you that will wake up exactly 1 year from today." Imagine meeting that person. What do you think they would say? Would they smile and thank you? Or would they look disappointed and ask, "Why did you keep waiting?" That question stayed in my mind for a long time. Because one day I realized something. The future doesn't suddenly appear. We build it. One decision at a time. One habit at a time. One ordinary day at a time. Most people think success happens in one big moment. A huge opportunity. A lucky break. A life-changing event. But that's rarely how it works. Success usually grows quietly. Nobody notices it in the beginning. It's like planting a seed. On the first day, nothing happens. After 1 week, nothing seems different. Even after 1 month, the ground still looks the same. If you didn't know better, you'd think nothing was growing. But underneath the surface, the roots are getting stronger every single day. Then one morning, a tiny green leaf appears. People look at it and say, "Wow, it grew so fast." No. It didn't grow overnight. It was growing the entire time. Nobody could see it. Your progress works exactly the same way. Just because you can't see results today, doesn't mean you're not growing. Think about learning English. The first few days feel slow. You learn a few words. You forget some of them. You make mistakes. You feel like you're not improving. Then one day, you understand a sentence without translating it. A few weeks later, you watch a video and understand most of it. Months later, you're having conversations you never thought were possible. The progress always feels invisible. Until one day, it becomes impossible to ignore. That's why patience is so important. Not because waiting creates success, but because consistent action needs time to show results. Tell me honestly. Have you ever quit something just because you didn't see results quickly enough? Maybe it was the gym. Maybe it was studying. Maybe it was learning English. Maybe it was your business. If that's happened to you, type "I did" in the comments. You're not admitting failure. You're admitting you're human. And once we're honest with ourselves, real change can finally begin. So here's something I want you to remember. Never judge your progress by 1 day. Judge it by 1 year. One bad day means nothing. One missed workout means nothing. One mistake means nothing. What matters is whether you keep coming back. Because winners aren't people who never fail. They're people who never stop returning. And maybe that's the lesson we've all needed to hear. There's one more thing I want to talk about. Comparison. I honestly believe comparison has stolen more happiness than failure ever could. Think about it. You open social media. Someone bought a new car. Someone is traveling the world. Someone built a successful business. Someone speaks perfect English. Someone has the body you wish you had. Within a few minutes, you start asking yourself, what am I doing with my life? Have you ever felt that way? Be honest. If yes, you're definitely not alone. But here's what social media never shows you. It doesn't show the sleepless nights. It doesn't show the failures. It doesn't show the fear. It doesn't show the thousands of times someone wanted to quit. You only see the highlight. Never the struggle. Imagine watching the last 5 minutes of a movie. The hero wins. Everyone is happy. It looks easy. But you completely missed the first 2 hours. The pain. The training. The failures. The sacrifices. Life is exactly like that. You're comparing someone else's final chapter to your first page. That's not fair to yourself. Instead of asking, why am I behind? Ask yourself, am I better than I was 6 months ago? That's the only comparison that truly matters. Because your competition isn't the person on the internet. Your competition is the version of you that keeps making excuses. Beat that version. And you're already winning. Let me tell you something I started doing. Every night before going to sleep, I ask myself one simple question. What did I do today that my future self will thank me for? Some days, the answer is big. Some days, it's just reading 2 pages. Or learning 3 new words. Or going for a short walk. But there's always something. Because even a tiny step is still a step forward. Now I want to ask you the same question. When you go to bed tonight, what will your answer be? Think about it. Will your future self thank you for today's choices? Or will they wish you had started sooner? You don't have to answer me. Answer yourself. Because deep inside, you already know the truth. And sometimes, the truth is exactly what sets us free. Before we end this conversation, I want to tell you about one of the biggest regrets people have at the end of their lives. It isn't, I wish I had made more money. It isn't, I wish I had bought a bigger house. Very often, it's much simpler than that. I wish I had started sooner. Just think about those words. Started sooner. Not because they didn't have talent. Not because they weren't smart enough. Because they waited. They waited for confidence. They waited for motivation. They waited for the perfect opportunity. And while they were waiting, life quietly moved on. I don't want that to happen to you. And I don't want that to happen to me. That's why I decided to stop asking, when is the perfect time? Instead, I started asking, what's the best thing I can do with the next 10 minutes? Because honestly, that's all we ever have. The next 10 minutes. Not next year. Not next month. Just this moment. Imagine if every day you invested just 10 honest minutes into your dream. No excuses. No distractions. Just 10 focused minutes. Do you really think your life would stay the same after 1 year? I don't think so. Neither do you. Deep inside, you already know what you're capable of. You just haven't given yourself enough chances to prove it. So today, stop waiting for a version of yourself that doesn't exist. You don't need to become confident before you begin. You become confident because you begin. Remember that. Confidence isn't the starting line. It's the reward for showing up again and again. Now let me ask you one final question. If someone gave you the chance to go back exactly 1 year, what would you change? Would you start learning earlier? Would you take better care of your health? Would you spend more time with your family? Would you finally chase that dream you've been thinking about? Whatever your answer is. Here's the beautiful part. 1 year from today, you'll be asking yourself this same question again. The only difference is, this time, you still have the chance to change the answer. Don't waste it. Because today's choices become tomorrow's memories. And the memories you create will become the story you tell for the rest of your life. We're almost at the end. But before you leave, I want you to do something with me. Not on your phone. Not in the comments. Just inside your mind. Imagine you're 80 years old. You've lived your entire life. You're sitting in a quiet chair, looking back at everything you've done. Now imagine your younger self. The person you are today. Walks into the room. What would your older self say? Would they smile and say, "I'm proud of you. Thank you for not giving up"? Or would they quietly whisper, "I wish you had started earlier"? That picture stayed in my mind for a long time. Because one day I realized, the decisions I make today are creating memories for the person I'll become someday. Every excuse, every delay, every small action, they're all writing my future story. And yours too. So let me ask you something. If today became the first page of a brand new chapter in your life, what would you write? Would it begin with another excuse? Or would it begin with one small action? Remember, nobody changes their life in one night. People change their direction. And eventually, that new direction changes their life. Maybe today you won't study for 3 hours. That's okay. Study for 10 minutes. Maybe you won't run 5 miles. That's okay. Go for a 10-minute walk. Maybe you won't become fluent in English today. That's okay. Learn 5 new words. Small doesn't mean unimportant. Small means repeatable. And repeatable actions create unbelievable results. There's a quote I want you to remember. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. You can't change yesterday. Neither can I. But we still have today. And today is more powerful than most. If you've stayed with me until this moment, first of all, thank you. Not because you watched a long video, but because it tells me something about you. It tells me that deep inside, you want more from life. You want to become better. You want to stop living on excuses. And honestly, so do I. That's why I started this channel. Not because I have a perfect life. Not because I know everything. But because I'm on this journey too. I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm making mistakes. And I want us to grow together. So let me ask you one last question. 1 year from now, when you accidentally find this video again, what do you want to feel? Do you want to smile and say, "I'm so glad I started"? Or do you want to say, "I wish I had listened"? That choice is completely yours. No motivational speaker. No book. No video can make that decision for you. Only you can. The good news is, you don't have to change your entire life today. You only have to change today. Because tomorrow will be built by what you do after this video ends. Not by what you think. Not by what you plan. By what you do. So here's my challenge for you. The moment this video ends, Don't open another video. Don't start scrolling. Don't tell yourself, I'll do it later. Instead, take one small action. Just one. Read one page. Practice English for 10 minutes. Write down your business idea. Go outside for a short walk. Drink a glass of water. Call someone you've been meaning to call. Do something that your future self will quietly thank you for. Then come back and write one simple comment. I started. That's it. Just those 2 words. Not for me. For yourself. Because that comment will be proof that today was different. And if someone else reads your comment, maybe they'll decide to start too. Imagine that. One small comment could inspire someone you've never even met. That's how change spreads. One person at a time. One decision at a time. One action at a time. If you enjoyed spending these moments with me, I'd love for you to become part of this little community. Subscribe to the channel. Let's keep learning. Let's keep growing. Let's keep reminding each other that progress is always possible. And if you have a friend, a brother, a sister, a parent, or anyone who always says, I'll start tomorrow, share this video with them. Not because I want more views, but because someone you care about might need this message today. Who knows? This video could become the reason they finally take the first step. And maybe, years from now, they'll thank you for sharing it. Remember, dreams don't change lives. Decisions do. Ideas don't change lives. Actions do. Tomorrow doesn't change lives. Today does. So don't wait. Don't overthink. Don't chase perfection. Just begin. Because every incredible journey starts exactly the same way. With one small step. Thank you, my dear friend. Take care of yourself. Keep believing in your dreams. And I'll see you in the next story.